Deep inside Egypt's Valley of the Kings, a British archaeologist, Howard Carter, had spent years searching for the lost tomb of a young pharaoh named Tutankhamun. Many archaeologists believed there was little left to find, but Carter refused to give up. Then, on November 4th, a worker discovered a stone step beneath the desert sand. Carter ordered the area to be cleared. Another step appeared, then another. Soon, the outline of a staircase emerged from the ground. At the bottom was a sealed doorway. Carter knew immediately that this could be something extraordinary. He sent a message to his wealthy patron, Lord Carnarvon, who rushed to Egypt. When they finally opened a small hole in the doorway, Carnarvon reportedly asked Carter if he could see anything. Carter looked inside, and what he saw would become one of the most famous archaeological discoveries in history. Yes, wonderful things. Inside the tomb were treasures that had remained hidden for thousands of years: golden objects, statues, chariots, jewelry, and eventually the famous golden burial mask of Tutankhamun. But there was something else. The tomb contained the remains of a young pharaoh who had died more than 3 millennia earlier. The world was fascinated. Newspapers around the globe began reporting on the discovery. But then, something strange happened. Only a few months after entering the tomb, Lord Carnarvon became seriously ill. He died in Cairo in April 1923. Almost immediately, newspapers began spreading a terrifying story. They claimed that an ancient curse had been unleashed, the curse of the Pharaoh. Soon, stories began appearing about people connected to the tomb suffering terrible fates. Some became sick, others died, and newspapers began connecting these events to Tutankhamun. The legend grew with every new headline. One story claimed that when Carnarvon died, the lights in Cairo mysteriously went out. Another claimed that his dog in England died at exactly the same moment. The stories became more dramatic. The tomb was no longer simply an archaeological discovery. It had become a horror story. People began asking, had the ancient Egyptians really placed a curse on anyone who disturbed the pharaoh's resting place? And if so, who would be next? So, was Tutankhamun's curse real? Maybe not. But there's something fascinating about the story. For more than 3,000 years, the tomb remained hidden beneath the Egyptian desert. Then, one November morning in 1922, human hands opened its doorway. And from that moment on, the world could not stop talking about the young pharaoh. Perhaps there was never a supernatural curse. Perhaps it was simply coincidence, combined with fear, mystery, and a very good newspaper story. But even today, when you look at the golden mask of Tutankhamun, one thought is hard to escape. Some mysteries are powerful enough to survive thousands of years, and maybe that's the real curse of the pharaoh. But there was a problem with the curse story. When historians examined what actually happened, the legend didn't look nearly as mysterious. Many people who entered or worked around Tutankhamun's tomb lived for many years afterward. Howard Carter himself survived for almost 2 decades after discovering the tomb. There was also no proven ancient inscription inside Tutankhamun's tomb that said something like, "Death will come to those who disturb the pharaoh." The curse had largely been created and amplified by newspapers and popular culture. And Carnarvon's death had a much more ordinary explanation. He had suffered from serious health problems after an infected wound. Still, one question remained. Could ancient tombs contain dangers that people in the 1920s didn't understand? Possibly. Sealed environments can contain microorganisms, mold, and other biological hazards. but there is no scientific evidence that a supernatural force killed the people associated with Tutankhamun's tomb.